Amazing. Amazing. I'm telling Jen. Hey everybody, welcome back to Call Time, a theater pod where every role in theater matters. This is a space where we can talk about it all, where we can laugh, learn, and sometimes call out the chaos. So sign in on the sheet, cause it's call time. Hi everybody, my name is Marisa Helene Mast, and I am your hostess with the mostest. And today, my guest is an extraordinary performer who, honestly, the minute I saw his TikTok, I was like, oh, I must meet. Now y'all get to meet him as well. With me today is the hysterical and extraordinary Mckinley Knuckle. Hi, Mckinley.
Hi, happy to be here.
So happy to have you here. Oh my gosh, I think we're in for a really great show today. In fact, let's take a look at what's going to be coming to us on today's show, shall we? Oh, okay.
I was like angry, and even just that pressure maybe you don't realize is the thing that's causing burnout, not the actual thing that you're doing, but the pressure that you're putting on yourself to accomplish it.
It literally was the namesake of Burnout because it was just, wasn't that great?
Amazing, so good.
Thrilling, enthralling, Tony Award winning.
Hopefully one day.
Manifesting, openly manifesting. Mckinley, I have a question for you to start us off. In my heart of hearts, I truly believe that there is good theater cringe and bad theater cringe. And I would love to know what you would put in those categories.
Wow, well, it's a very fine line, I will say, between good cringe and bad cringe.
Yes.
Because I kind of think all theater is a little cringy.
Yeah.
Or very cringy. It's just all on the spectrum of cringe. What is good theater cringe? I mean, good theater cringe is somebody who is overly committed to the bit and they believe it, whether it's real or not. Like, that is good theater cringe. And I would say bad theater cringe just teeters on the line of like, yeah, I guess maybe someone who's like slightly undercommitted. You know, you just have to be like super committed to the bit, and that's what takes it from like being like slightly cringy to being like over the top campy, I think. You know, it's like cringe and camp. I would say like good theater cringe is like, you know, type of camp almost. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's all up to taste, I think. People have different thresholds of what is cringy and what is not. But I think just being overly committed to whatever you're doing is good cringe.
Couldn't agree more. It's my life story. You know, we wear it with the badge of honor.
Just commit to the bit.
Yeah, because I'd rather see someone commit to a bit so hard and own it and just be like, yes, you made a choice and I'm so happy you stayed consistent, rather than like flop halfway through and just give up. Because then it's just, well,
100.
What?
Yeah. I also think bad theater cringe, unfortunately, for me is like when you have an ensemble of adults playing kids. I don't know about that for me. Unless it's part of the bit, like unless it's supposed to be funny. But a lot of times you have these shows and it'll be an ensemble of like 25-year-olds. Me, and I've auditioned for shows like that. I'm like, they're not going to cast me in this show. Look at me. But sometimes they do. You see a group of, and you're like, is that kid supposed to be 16? And it's like a 35-year-old man with a beard, you know?
I blame Grease.
Correct. All the old movies, they'd be like, yeah, this is a group of teenagers. And it was like a 35-year-old man smoking a cigarette. You're like, what?
And
But that was also the 70s.
True. And I literally, I talked to my mom about this because, you know, she's like, well, it's skincare. It's all about skincare. We didn't take care of our skin. So that's why we even when, you know, you look a certain way and I go, right. Not casting.
That's fair.
Skincare.
Yeah. Right.
We just all look so young now. Like, I'm only 18.
It's all the filters.
And obviously, I'm totally not in my 30s. But awesome. I really love this definition of theater cringe in itself. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, because I love this conversation a lot. So our overall topic today is, you know, a multi-hyphenate of things, but something that we were discussing in our little get together meeting was about, the grind, essentially,
Mm,
and the grind as an artist. And one of the things I wanted to kind of preface before we go into the deep dive is because I get a slew of many different things on my feeds these days, and I kept getting videos by, are you familiar with, what is he goes by, like Gary V?
I don't know.
So Gary is like a businessman, but he is like one of those, he's very influential in the business world, and he's very, very well known on that aspect, but he's quite controversial in
Okay.
the sense of the toxic hustle culture.
Mm,
And because he's very motivational, because he's like, you can achieve everything you want, you just have to like work your ass off. And oh my gosh, I like, my hair
right.
is trying to work me into submission here. It's because, obviously you need motivation to get things done, you need to have a drive, you need to have the want and the need.
Hmm.
But then he also goes into things like, if you are not working, you're like at all, like even if you take a moment to focus anywhere else, you are not going to achieve what you want. You cannot stray from your path at all. And obviously we have come to learn that that is not the case
Yeah.
necessarily for people. Oh my God. Ruining my
Yeah.
look. But I would, one of the things that kind of stuck out to me is not even just the we've come to know this is different, but the business world versus the arts world,
Mm,
completely different hustle,
yeah.
and I don't think people actually realize that.
Yeah.
Would you agree that an arts world hustle is completely different from all the, I don't want to call them finance bros, but like all the
A
people who are more
100%.
business centered.
Well, I mean, it's totally using a different part of your bit of your brain to be creative versus being logistical. And I'm more creative than I am logistical, so I can't really comment on how much energy it takes to be logistical like that. But
Right.
I think when you're a creative person and you're creating art, you have a lot more ownership of that. And that brings in a lot more of like, passion, emotions. And I think that can cause burnout quicker. And also, to be creative, you have to open yourself up and be able to take in everything that happens in your life and use it and focus it in a way that you can use that to be creative. So I think to be creative and sustain that, it's important to find balance because if you just go, 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 I mean, there's some people, like Beyonce, who at this point, she is a machine. She's a creative machine and she's been doing it forever. And she
Mm-hmm.
probably doesn't feel this way for whatever reason. I mean, she has a team of people working with her, but I
Mm-hmm.
think to be able to really like be fully creative and use that creativity, you have to find balance because otherwise you'll just burn out. And also, creativity is like subjective. It's not like the numbers on a spreadsheet. So it's about your own personal, ability to find that. And for me personally, it's important to have balance. Step out of that for a minute. My way of doing that is to step out of the city, go into like nature, go on a hike, be with my friends, feel the love and connection with other people. And that's where creativity kind of um, grows. So I think the toxic hustle culture is a thing now because you kind of have to hustle these days in order to just survive, to be honest, because it's, a different world than it used to be. So I understand that mentality, but I don't agree with it at all. I think there's ways of being, creative in different ways, and that's another way to diversify your creativity. Like, you can be creative in one aspect, be creative in another aspect, be creative in theater, be creative in visual arts, be creative in music. There's different lanes to go in, and that's another way to diversify the hustle culture of it. But still, regardless of that, to be like an artist, you kind of have to, I don't know, you always get to a point and you have to bring yourself back down. And, then you can build on top of that and then, balance it out with something else. I think that's how you can sustain that creativity for a long period of time, for a whole career.
Very beautifully said. Absolutely. 100%. I was like, yes, keep going. And you did, and I love it. So now this is the part of the show where we would have an ad break, but I don't know if I'm going to have one for this episode. But until then, we're just going to sit here and stare at the camera. We are back here at Call Time at Theater Pod with the amazing Mckinley Knuckle, who like I said, found you on TikTok. You're hysterical, you and your brother. And then I, of course, had to go ahead and do, my research. So I found your amazing website and was reading up on you. And your journey is fascinating. I mean, I'm always fascinated by the journey of artists, but I would love for you to kind of reintroduce yourself to people here and talk about, like, what drew you to the arts as a whole, and what brought you to where you are now.
Well, I grew up in a very lively artistic household. Always had music playing. My grandpa was like a playwright. My dad was a musician. My mom was just a creative individual. They weren't creatives by profession. My dad was a teacher. My mom worked for the city, but they always had music playing. And I don't know what it was about me and my brother, but we were just always dancing from before we could even walk. My parents, have videos of us just like bouncing on the floor to music because there was always music playing. So that's just kind of how it started. Yeah, I don't know what it was about us. We just loved dancing. We loved dressing up. My grandma got us a pickle trunk full of costumes when we were like 5. We would put costumes on and wigs, and so we were just very like theatrical. And my parents said, okay, well, we're not going to put them in. Well, they tried to put us in sports, and that did not work.
Which ones?
Because they'd be playing soccer, and we'd just be like, walking behind everybody. And my dad's like, you have to run, or I'm going to take you out of soccer. And we were like, perfect. We'll just keep not running, and he'll take us out of soccer.
Exactly.
So then they tried dance because they saw that we were obviously loved to dance, and everything just kind of went from there. I honestly don't really remember making a decision about it or thinking one way or the other. It's just kind of something that always happened. And even when I was growing up dancing, my parents still wanted me to go to school for something because my dad was a teacher. He's like, you have to go to school. And I think as we got older, my parents just realized, like, okay, maybe they actually could do this for a career. Like, I think we were so confident and we just didn't really, like, I didn't have another plan. Like, I was like, I'm just going to be a dancer because this is all I know how to do and all I want to do. And again, it was never really a decision, it just happened. And so graduated high school, auditioned for a couple of theater schools, which I was going to go to school for theater, but then instead booked a cruise ship. And I thought, okay, I'll just do a cruise ship, save up some money, and then go to school. And then it just kind of, kept happening. I did a few cruise contracts, and that's when I really started getting into theater because I was a dancer first, like solid dancer. And I loved theater. I loved how much fun it was. I loved how you didn't have to be in the ballet studio for 3 hours every morning training, but you could just have fun. So that's what really drew me to theater. And yeah, like I said, I just was always something I've done, and I still have not looked back. Luckily, I've been successful in, having a lot of opportunities, jobs, and I'm from Canada. So, did a lot of stuff in Canada and met a lot of great people, worked for the Stratford Festival, and Canada's really close to New York City. So I would come to New York City, every once in a while for auditions, come down for a week, audition as much as I could. And that's really how it started. And, I booked a tour, and I've just, jobs just keep coming. And luckily, hopefully they keep coming.
They will.
I made my Broadway debut last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, here I am. Here
you are. And it's awesome. And listen, not only will they be coming, they are coming. They are.
I know, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, as an artist, I'm on Broadway. I still have most days that I wake up thinking, holy crap, what if, like, I never get another job after this? Like, what am I going to do? Like, that's just like the mindset that I think a lot of performers have, because there's so much instability, so much ups and downs, so much no's, so many no's. So,
yeah,
but I know that that's just in my head.
big mood, and we will get to that. But so with that being said, when you were really starting like professionally, did you have specific goals in mind? And when you had to kind of divert, how would you handle those?
Yeah, I mean, my dance teacher always talked about being on Broadway. And I never really considered it an option, I think, because I lived in Canada. It's like so far from here. It felt like a,
Mhm.
fake type of dream that was not really achievable. I didn't know anybody that I grew up with or anybody that I worked with in Canada that had been on Broadway. So for me, it was just like, I don't really know what I thought. I think I just didn't think anything, honestly. I just think I just kept, you know, taking jobs and hoping that I would be able to make a career out of it, whether that meant being on Broadway or, you know, teaching dance for the rest of my life or whatever, I didn't know. But obviously, I mean, I'm 28. It's been 10 years of me working professionally, and I just now got on Broadway. So between all that time, I mean, COVID happened, which was horrible for everybody, but especially for the arts and live performing in general, because that was really one of the hardest hit industries in COVID. That was a
Mhm.
huge few years because it was really like, okay, maybe theater just isn't going to bounce back. I'm going to have to get another job. I don't know anything else because all I've been doing is live theater. So that was a pretty tough few years. I mean, it's definitely hard. I mean, there's been, luckily, I've been pretty lucky with work, but it doesn't matter how successful you are, there's always time that you have off and time where you're getting no's and you don't know what's coming next. So that's when balance is helpful because if your entire life is one thing, which is theater, and then you go through these periods of lows, I think it's much harder to, move through those periods if you don't have other things going on. So I love traveling. I love hiking. I love cooking. I love, you know, so many other things. Not a lot of other work things, but teaching, choreographing, all those types of things. So on the low periods, that's when it's good to have, you know, a diverse range of things that you can do.
Finding that balance, obviously, I feel like a huge point in like really striving for that balance is when you experience burnout.
Right.
I have found that burnout looks different for a lot of people. And as someone who obviously uses their body for your job and for your life, how does burnout feel for you?
I feel like the most times that I've ever experienced burnout has been when I've been on a long running show because that type of like monotonous daily activity over and over again is what has caused me to have burnout. I find that when I'm off work, like I said, I'm really good about finding other avenues, switching lanes, taking a moment, to just like take time off from work when I don't have work. But when you have work, it's hard to do that because you don't get a lot of vacation time. You're at the show, you can't call out. So burnout sometimes I think is just something that you just have to kind of like accept and lay low and, you know, refocus your mind, go to therapy, see your friends as much as you can. If you really need to, of course, you take, a day off the show or whatever, talk with your family. I don't know, it's tough, but burnout is almost sometimes a good thing in a way because it brings you back down and then it almost motivates you when you come out of that burnout to be like, okay, I'm ready to go. And it kind of like, you know, motivates you to work even harder and get back into it. Um,
Yeah. I honestly, it's when I have also felt this way, but I've never like actually heard somebody else say that about how burnout is a huge motivator in that way.
yeah,
Because when I experience burnout, it's like very heavy. Like being completely honest and transparent here, the first season of this podcast, I definitely overdid it trying to be something with this. And then I had to end the season extraordinarily early because I was,
mm,
again, also doing, and I still am doing this whole thing by myself,
right.
and so with all the work I was trying to put into it, as well as, finding a day job and auditioning and doing all these things, it just got so overwhelming to the point where everything, it felt, it it literally was the namesake of Burnout because it was just completely just everything felt awful. And
I think it's okay to, when burnout happens, to take a step back and like reset and like take a moment and then come back to it when you're ready. I think being creative too, it's not necessarily something that you can force. I mean, sometimes you have to, and you're probably not going to get the best product when you do. Sometimes you just have to do it, and that's just part of life. But I think burnout is something that is looked at so like negatively. It's not a great feeling, but I think it's when you do experience burnout, it's okay to like take a step back and just like focus on something else. And when you're ready to come back to it, I think that's totally acceptable and a great way to handle it.
Yeah, and extraordinarily refreshing, by the way. It truly, it's, I want everyone to really think about that burnout being a positive rather than a negative, or at least not as much of a negative as as its title could be. When you came to recognize that, did you start viewing yourself a little differently as an artist, as a person, once you kind of changed that mindset?
Well, I'm an empath as an artist. Lots of people are.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so I am really good at feeling what other people feel, but I'm also really good at feeling what I feel. And I think it's important to recognize how you're feeling and listen to your body and listen to your instincts in every aspect of life. Um, and that's something that I kind of realized about myself, that I have always listened to my instincts really well, but I never recognized that I was good at it. And when I realized, like, usually when I listen to my instincts, they're correct, and the right thing to do is listen to them. That did change the way that I function, because, you know, that just gave me more, settled me and made me realize, like, it's okay to listen to your body and follow it. And at the end of the day, that's what your body needs. Your body's telling you that it needs a break. And so it's good to take that break and not overdo it, because if you're in burnout and you keep going and keep going, you're going to get to an even worse place that might be way harder to come back from. Because I've seen people that, burn out so hard that they never come back to it again. They're like, I'm finished with that. It was too much. I can't do it anymore. I don't think it needs to be that way.
Yeah, honestly, that was almost me with the podcast. I almost really was not feeling the vibe anymore because I was like, God, I don't want to feel the way I feel doing something that's supposed to be something I love.
Right. And I think people feel like they're failing or something if they're burning out, and people don't want to fail. So they just push harder and harder, or they don't want to feel like they're quitting, because that's another thing. Like, don't be a quitter. And I think that's toxic. Like, you should always, finish what you've set out to do. That just might not look like what you thought it was going to look like.
Yeah.
It's okay to reframe.
Yes. Reframing and setting boundaries and understanding what that means for you. So I'm wondering, what boundaries have you created for yourself that are, non-negotiables at this point in order for you to really maintain your balance?
When you're young, I used to take every job that I was offered. I would go in for every job, no matter what the job was, where the job was, who the job was for, what the pay of the job was. And of course, now I'm a little bit older, and I'm realizing that, for example, last year, before I booked Broadway, I was kind of in a period of low work. I was at home in Canada. I was in the process of applying for my work visa for the States, but I didn't have the visa yet. I was at home in Canada. I didn't know what I was going to do. There wasn't really a lot of work. So I got offered this cruise contract to open the new Disney Treasure, which is a Disney cruise ship. I've worked for Disney before. And it was a great opportunity at the time. I was like, okay, this is good because it'll be good money. I was going to travel, but I hadn't been on a cruise ship for like 5 or 6 years. And honestly, when I left cruise ships before, I didn't think I would ever come back because I just didn't enjoy it. And so I thought, okay, I'll take this contract. But I remember telling myself, if the contract does not go the way I want it to go, or if I'm feeling badly in any way, I can always just get out of it. It's not a lifelong thing. You can just get out of it. And I had a great first half of the contract. We were in rehearsals in Toronto. The best time we were in the Netherlands creating and teching the shows. And then we got on the ship, and it was like 2 weeks into the contract. And I just remember thinking, wow, I've been so depressed for like the last 2 weeks. And it was because I was on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
The cruise ship was being built. So it was like we were in a construction zone. It was just not a good time.
Wow.
And I remember telling my friend, I think I'm going to leave the contract because I had been so happy, feeling life so fully before that. And I just remember feeling this like kind of like depression coming on to me. And I was like, I haven't been
Mm.
feeling happy in the last 2 weeks. And that was the boundary that I set for myself. And I said, okay, well, I said I would leave if I was not feeling well, and that's what I did. And not kidding, a week after I got off the ship, I got the Death Becomes Her offer. And it was like perfectly timed out.
Wow.
And I just remember thinking like I couldn't have made a better decision. Because also, had I not left the contract, I wouldn't have been able to take the Death
Yeah.
Becomes Her contract because I would have been like on the other side of the world.
That's
You
crazy.
know, not all, everything doesn't always work out the best way. But that was a boundary that I set, and that was important to me, and it made me feel good that I kept that boundary.
Yeah. I mean, not even just a boundary, but like that's intuition. Really,
Yeah,
really listening to yourself. And that is, listen, I'm a witchy girl. So as soon as you said that, I went, oh my gosh, the woo woo.
yeah,
I love that kind of intuitive gut feeling. But you also, without even thinking that you were going to get that contract, you told yourself, I'm not in a good
yeah,
place.
yeah,
Choosing yourself. And I think a lot of artists go through that period of trying to understand what that actually means
yeah,
because you want to work,
yeah.
but you also don't, you want to be your best self. You want to be present for those
Yeah, you have to
moments.
honor yourself. The contract, it was too much. You know, it was just, I was not able to give my full self to the contract, and I didn't want to taint anybody else's experience. I just knew that I was not going to be able to fulfill the contract the way that I wanted to be able to. And I had to step out of it to be able to, feel creative and good again.
With all the other things that you've picked up to find your balance and protecting your joy, is there anything that you found, I don't want to say like hobby wise, but just anything outside of your actual work that you enjoyed more than you expected to?
I take a great deal of put a great deal of importance on my friends. And I have a lot of friends. And because I travel so much, I have friends all over the world. And I try very hard to make a point of keeping those friendships, staying connected, and going to visit my friends when I have time off, having my friends come and visit me, really cultivating important friendships because as a performer, sometimes, I mean, luckily I'm in New York City, so I've been here for a year and I have great friends in New York City. I had great friends here when I got here. But before that, for many years, I was kind of jumping from contract to contract, and that can be very lonely and also whatever the opposite of lonely is at the same time, because you form these really tight friendships with these people that you spend all your time with, and then you leave them, and then you get another group of tight friends. So it's like you're always making these beautiful connections with people and then kind of like dropping them off at the train station and never seeing them again. And so, it was important. It's important to me to keep a through line of friends in my life to keep me kind of grounded and motivated. And so I love spending time with my friends when I have time off. That's part of traveling too. Why I love traveling so much too. It's because I get to travel and see my friends that I haven't seen in 5 or 6 years, So
Mm-hmm.
that's really important to me. It's really important to me to just step out into nature. I'm Canadian. I grew up on a farm where we had tons of space. So when I'm in the city, it gets very,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to clear my mind, go on a long hike, sit in the cabin for a couple days. And besides that, I love cooking. Anything that just involves like a shared experience, I think, with my friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am honestly the same way. I'm an extremely sentimental person. Shocking. And I mean, shout out to the Otter Shenanigan, who I tell them, I think every second I possibly can, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. This is a journey. We're on this together. And
Yeah.
because especially when you're going through those lows, it's nice to have that support system. And when you're going through the mids and the highs, you have people who keep you grounded and humble and, just really appreciating shared experiences. Because I will say something that I like to do when, similarly, when I'm not feeling quite myself or I'm having like kind of a lower day, I'll send just like a mass exodus of texts to friends being like, hey, just wanted to say, you're doing great. I'm proud of you. Good vibes. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, I really needed to hear that. And I'm like, yeah, it's because when I am feeling low, what actually makes me happier is sending energy to other people. Thus bringing it back.
Yeah.
What's your go-to thing to cook? What do you...
Oof. I mean, I'm a baker, so I love baking stuff. The problem is when I bake stuff and I eat it all. So I try to, when I have time, I like to bake stuff and then like have people over to eat it, or I'll like bring it to the theater for people to eat or whatever. I made cinnamon buns the other day. Those were really good from scratch.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I made like milk
bread
for the first time, which I never made. You like cook the flour and the water together to make that little paste, and then so it was really good.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I love milk bread, and I love baking. And I'm a little mad you didn't send me a cinnamon bun, but that's okay.
Next time.
Can you imagine just a single cinnamon bun in a Tupperware container being sent to Jersey? Just like no note, no nothing. Great. It's from McKinley. Fantastic. It lasted. We are at everybody's favorite point in the podcast, and the only reason I know it's everybody's favorite point is because I keep saying it's your favorite point. Therefore,
you must listen to me as the hostess with the mostest.
But we are here at the Green Room Games. Still need a jingle. Anyone want to write this jingle? I will talk to you about writing this jingle. Put in the comments below. Cool. The game that we're doing today is Let's Do It Again, but this time where I am going to give McKinley some famous lines from some of my favorite musicals, and we got a range from 1 to 10, and those are our energy levels. How many times have we been in a rehearsal where we say a line and the director goes, all right, let's do it again, but this time make it good, and or insert anything else. I definitely haven't been speaking from experience there or anything. Do it again, but this time make it just a little happier. And I'm just excited to see what your choices are going to be, McKinley. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Your first line is, everyone deserves a chance to fly. And I would love you to start at a 4.
Everyone deserves a chance to fly.
Ooh. Oh. Okay.
That was like angry.
Ooh, choices.
4
I love it.
wasn't
Okay.
like sad, but it's not happy. It's like medium angry.
It's interpretation. I love. All right, so let's do it again. Let's do it again. But this time, give me an 8.
Everyone deserves a chance to fly.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I do. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, our next...
Next time we do this, it should be like a contemporary dance sequence, and we can do it on the floor.
Yes. Listen, that's when we do the in-person interviews, when we start getting a budget. I will absolutely do that. Be an honor. This is the one that I was giggling at just because I always thought this was funny. This one's from Carousel. It's a real lyric from Carousel. It's a whole song, but this was a real nice clam bake.
Oh.
And it's just so stupid. I would love to hear this let's give this a 6.
This was a real nice clam bake.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's do it again. But this time I want you to give me a 2.
This was a real nice clam bake.
I don't know why, but it just felt like a secret. Like you didn't want to admit it out loud to anybody else, just to me. This was a real nice clam bake. Okay, our last one. Our last one is the best clam bake I could think of, and I couldn't resist. You will probably be very familiar with this already, and that was rude. That was really fucking rude.
Okay,
And
love it.
we're gonna start at a 10.
That was rude. That was pretty fucking rude.
Yes. It's truly iconic, but let's do it again. But this time, I want a 0.
That was pretty fucking rude. I don't know.
Amazing. I'm telling Jen, as if I'm on a first name basis.
The most iconic line in the show.
Truly. I mean, there are so many moments, just as a quick little moment, just because, like, I love the show so much.
It's such a good show.
It's so fun and ridiculous, and I use a lot of the iconic lines just as, like, vocal stems, but just as a way to kind of practice my range. Be like, okay. Because, again, we're talking about camp. High camp of the highest order. Thank God.
Talk about committing to a bit.
Definition. I think it should be in the history books.
That's the good cringe. Death becomes her.
Yes, truly. And before I continue making this completely about my obsession with this show, I want to turn the show over to you, the audience, for a little talk back time. One of the things I love to do is interact with all of you and understand, the shared experience that we all kind of have in this industry and understand everyone's opinions. And if you want to check out the question, you can see it on our social pages, on our Facebook, on our Instagram, on our TikTok, on our LinkedIn. Will I make a LinkedIn? I don't know. Maybe. I heard it's a good thing now. All those things are in the description box below. And so the question du jour that I wanted to ask was, what has helped you heal from burnout? And I want to thank everybody for writing in, comments, DMs, emails. I got some emails, which surprised me. And I'm like, yes, I welcome it. Please do. Our first one here is from Danny, who says, showing up for myself and then finding community that reflects that healing. I would absolutely agree. I mean, we were just talking about our friends and how, wonderful they are to kind of keep ourselves grounded and whole.
Get yourself some good friends that lift you up.
How far away is your furthest friend?
I mean, I have tons of friends in Australia. I've actually never been to Australia. One of my best friends is from New Zealand. And we're planning a trip down to New Zealand when we both can get the time. It's tough because we're always, but she actually lives in New York City now too. So I see her all the time. I mean, I have friends in London. I have friends in Vancouver. I have friends in, I guess New Zealand, Australia is probably the farthest.
It's pretty far.
Lots of friends in Europe. So yeah.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. I think one of the most beautiful things about friendships is the reconnection.
Absolutely. Some of my best friends in the whole world are the ones who I haven't spoken to in like 2 years, or we'll like quickly exchange a couple texts back and forth. But those are the friends that I know, like, I don't need to constantly chat with, because whenever we do get the time to chat, it's going to be special and it's going to be like no time has passed and we'll have so much to catch up on. It's just the best.
Yes, and then you end up in a car at 2 a.m. in Applebee's and you're talking in the parking lot for what feels like forever. I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling. And totally not based on real experience multiple times. The next one I have here is from Lindsay, who says, for me, it was choosing to get sober and healing from within, taking an intentional step away from theater for 2 years. Well, first of all, Lindsay, congratulations on that step towards sobriety. That is absolutely incredible. And we very, very proud of you for that.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, taking better care of your health and your soul is such an important part of that healing process, even if it means taking a step away from something you love for a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Especially
no,
if, the theater environment isn't always the most conducive or the easiest environment to be in that way. So taking a step back from that is maybe the healthiest thing to do.
because it's something you can always come back to,
Yeah, for
you know?
sure.
I mean, much like most things, but I feel like especially when you are in an arts career and you take a step away from it, there's something so invigorating about returning.
Hmm.
It's not a comeback, it's a
Yeah.
return.
Yeah.
And because I definitely went through that as well, where I took some time away and then coming back and just it's like when you do it it's like when you have that first experience performing all over again. And it's just
Right.
not me getting emotional.
I think people also put a lot of pressure on themselves, and that pressure of needing to succeed or needing to reach a certain goal or needing to, you know, accomplish something can cause burnout if you know, have that pressure. And I think maybe stepping away from it kind of relieves that pressure. Because when
Hmm.
something is a job, that puts pressure on you to make
Yeah.
it happen, whether it feels right or wrong or whatever. And so, yeah, stepping away from that can relieve that pressure. And even just that pressure, maybe you don't realize is the thing that's causing burnout, not the actual thing that you're doing, but the pressure that you're putting on yourself to accomplish it. I feel that sometimes with theater and dance is like finding a way of creating whilst like outside of work, because sometimes
Hmm.
work it just becomes a job. Like when you're in the
Yeah.
theater all day, it feels less creative. It feels like, okay, it's a job. And I think it's good to find outside avenues of being creative that's not for money and it's purely for the
Joy.
creative process and joy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very, very much agree. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. If you want to put your comments below, please, I would love to encourage this conversation because your opinion matters. I want to hear from you. And so, Mckinley, we are coming to the end of our time together, which is wild. Time is a social
Mm,
construct. I'm truly
true.
about to sob as soon as we're done with this. I would love to have you take a moment and be like, are you doing anything in particular right now that people should know about, where people can find you? What's going on in your world?
Well, I'm in Death Becomes Her. I'll be on stage all week, so come see the show. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, McKinley Knuckle, or the Knuckle Twins. That's me and my brother.
That's awesome. I am very excited for everything that's coming towards you, for you. The joy that you exude, I'm all about it. And I'm really glad to have you here today and our connection. And I'm not gonna get emotional right now about how we've come so far, and our burnout does not define us, and we are truly growing every single day.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a fabulous conversation. You're so sweet, and I hope that we get to talk again soon.
Me too. And I am looking forward to all of you coming back for another episode of Call Time a Theater Pod. My name is Marisa Helene Mast. You are the audience. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
This podcast was made possible through the support of viewers like you. Thank you.